In this video, I'll show you step by step how to build a basic to advanced AI automations, agents, and MCP servers on top of your Airtable data without a line of code using n8n. We'll see three practical examples. First, a daily email report of new records added to a database table. Second, an AI company researcher filling in company details from online search. And third, an AI agent to chat with your Airtable data. Then we'll also look at how to connect your ChatGPT or voice agent directly to these automations with an MCP. So let's jump into building these. First, we need to add a credential in n8n to connect with Airtable. Go to the top right and click Create Credential. Search for Airtable in the list and make sure to select the Airtable Personal Access Token API option to proceed. Now open a new browser tab and navigate to airtable.com/create/tokens so we can generate this token that we need. Click on Create Token here. Give the token a name. For scopes, we need to add data records read and write as well as the schema read, which are all needed for n8n to be able to communicate with Airtable. And for the access, we can choose specific bases or we can select all resources. Now click Create Token, copy the code shown and head back to the n8n tab. Here we can paste the access token and n8n will test that the process was correctly completed and it could communicate with Airtable. Now let's build our first automation, a daily email report of new contacts. Add it to our database. We will start with a blank canvas. To find actions that the Airtable node can do, click at the step and type Airtable in the search bar. This shows us all the available options. For this workflow, let's select Search Records. First, choose the base and the table that we are working with from the connected account. It shows in a dropdown. Next, we need to add a filter for which we have to use an Airtable formula. We can ask AI to write this or copy from an Airtable formula field where we can test it. To keep the data clean, go to Options and select Output Fields. Here we will manually select only the columns that we need, like email, name, and company in this case. We can click Execute Step to test this immediately. It's always good to check that the output in the table format is correct to ensure that we are getting the right data. Now let's format our email, for which we will need the HTML node and choose the Convert to HTML table action. This will turn our data into a readable format, a readable table. Now we can choose our email node. I'm using Gmail, but others are available too, like Outlook, SMTP. Select the send message action, and in the parameters, what's important is that we are making sure that the email type is set to HTML, so it's formatted as HTML. Now go ahead and add the subject line, and for the content, we can simply drag and drop the HTML table variable from the last tab that we created. Now let's test the full delivery at once. Click Execute and we can check our inbox and see that we have indeed received these contacts in a perfectly formatted table. Now let's make this run every day. For this we need a schedule trigger. We can set this to run daily at a specific time we choose. Once we added that, we can delete the manual execute trigger. Lastly, make sure to save and hit publish, because without this, the schedule will not run. As our second example, let's create an AI agent that researches company information for us, finding info online. When we add a new company, we want it to autofill these fields with what it found to save us time. In this, we want to react to an event in Airtable. For that, we should make sure to have a created time field set up to track when new rows are added. Now, we switch to our n8n and we use the Airtable trigger node to start this workflow, which can auto start on an Airtable event. And we have to connect our specific base and table. Dropdown is unavailable for trigger, so we directly copy paste the browser URL of the table into the correct fields. We can use the table's URL for both base and table, it will work. For the trigger field, we use created to run only when a new row is added. We would use last modify to run on each change instead, if that's what we wanted to do, but here we're using created. Let's test the trigger to make sure it pulls in some sample data and it looks as we expect it. Which it does. Now let's add a brain in the form of an AI. I will use OpenAI's messenger model node as it already has the online search tool built into it of the native OpenAI online search. So we don't need to add specific tools. Go ahead and choose your model. I will use GPT 5.2, which is the latest as of this recording, but depending on your budget, mini and nano models would probably work pretty well too for this. Then set our prompt, what we feed into the chat model. We can include the output of the earlier node by dragging and dropping the company name variable here and add our instructions before and after it. We also add the web search built-in tool, so we allow the agent to browse the internet. I'll add specific instructions for our output length in the prompt to make it consistent when it's fed back to Airtable. Now, if we run it, we can see it does the job. However, the exact format it will respond in is just text. So we don't have separate fields for website URL and company description like we want in Airtable. So we can know what to include in each column. We can see that it's just text, which is why we will need an output format schema. For this, we have to choose JSON schema here, and then we have to set the property names we want to consistently be in the output. So I chose the JSON schema, and I am adding the website and the summary properties to make sure that the AI parses the data into these exact fields every single time, avoiding possible mismatches like different property names. Now let's run it again so we can see how the output looks like. And we see that it's as we wanted. We have website and summary, so we can connect it to the next node without worrying that the AI will output it differently. Now let's use the update record Airtable action. First, map the record ID from the trigger, the first node, after we chose the base and table. And then I drag and drop the clean website and summary data from the last node's output into these columns. We can find them if we expand the text key in the output. Now we can execute again and see how it looks like. And verify that it does the way how we wanted it. It's important to again hit publish so the trigger becomes live and it actually starts to listen to Airtable changes. Now let's test the full automation. Go back to Airtable and add the new company. I name it NVIDIA. And what we can see is that without us doing anything else, it automatically ran this flow in the background and it filled in the two fields for us with the website and the company summary. Now, let's build our custom AI agent to chat with our Airtable data. We start by searching for the AI agent node. And we need to choose a brain. We'll search for and connect the OpenAI chat model here. Then we add a simple memory node, so the AI can remember the context of earlier messages. Now, what makes an agent different from a standard LLM is that it has tools. So we have to add an Airtable tool in this case, and we configure it to search records within our base. We can set the base and table. And we will name it to search contacts so we know what it's about. So now it has a tool that it can use to search among our contacts. To save some time, we can duplicate it with Ctrl+C, Ctrl+V if we want to have another tool, which in this case will be the companies. And I will just rename it search companies and change the table to search company. And the setup is already done. Now we can start the chat and ask find me companies with at least 2 contacts, and the agent reasons through multiple tables of data for this, and it will return us the list which fit the requirements. To make this live, hit the publish button at the top right of the screen, and then we go back to our chat trigger node setting and trigger to make it publicly available. Now we have a public URL where anyone can access this agent and talk to it. So we can actually test it out with another question to give us the email of all Microsoft employees. And it will think for a little bit, and then it can respond our query, which needs the Airtable data. Now let's turn this agent into an MCP server so we can add it to external tools. Find the MCP server trigger. Here we can see the URLs of the MCP server, and we can add authentication to secure it later. Now wire the new trigger into the existing search tools, drag the lines, and once everything is connected, go to the top right corner and hit publish to make the server live. Now we can go back to the trigger where we can find the URL of the MCP server under production URL. We need to copy this URL, which we will need when we add it to tools such as ChatGPT. So now let's go to ChatGPT, go to developer mode to be able to add a custom MCP server. Here we have to put the MCP server URL in the field and name our app, connect to Airtable so the AI knows what it does, and click create. Now let's test it. I will ask ChatGPT to use the connect app to list our companies, and watch it as it recognizes the request and calls the tool, and it gives back the results. It successfully could query our private Airtable data with the MCP connection. Now let's look at Vapi, which is a voice agent tool. We can also add an MCP here, so the voice agent is able to use that tool and get information from our bases similar to a ChatGPT could do it. From the list of integrations, select MCP. This will open the configuration settings for our server, where we can add the server URL into the bottom field. Then scroll up and give our tool a specific name like connect to Airtable. Click save on the top, and the voice agent can now fully able to search our database. Huge thanks to anyone watching this all the way until here. If you want to see more of this content, make sure to subscribe to the channel. And let me know in the comments what I should build next. Also, everything built in this video is available as a template that you can get for free on the link in the description. And of course, if you want a custom AI automation solution built for your business, don't hesitate to book a call with us. Our contact details are in the description and the pinned comment. See you in the next video.